gentlemen, so happy to have you here with me for another video. It is week 11. It is getting down to the nitty-gritty. Every win matters, and your roster is more important than ever. So in today's video, I have 4 buys and 3 sells. I decided with Thanksgiving coming up, I'm gonna give you guys a bonus buy at the end of the video, so make sure you stay for that. These are players whose values have shifted dramatically one way or the other, and I think there's opportunity for us as owners to swoop in, make a move, and improve our rosters for the home stretch. If you guys are brand new to the channel, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Helps us out so very much. Relentless Press just hit our goal of 500 subscribers. I want to continue moving forward with you guys. You can be a part of that by clicking that button. Also, if you find yourself enjoying the content, please crush that like button for me. That is greatly appreciated as well. Without any other further ado, let's hop into week 11's buy sell. The first player I am looking to acquire is Justin Herbert. This season has definitely not gone as planned for Herbie, not even close. Since week 3, he's posted just 2 finishes inside the top 10, while also posting 3 of them outside the top 20. His touchdowns are down, his interceptions are up. Basically across the board, it has been a nightmare for owners, which is perfect for us because it opens up an opportunity as a buyer to swoop in and save that poor owner who has to suffer. And we can do that while also strengthening ourselves down the stretch. Herbert is going to turn it around soon, so it might as well be to your benefit. And there are many reasons to be confident about a turnaround. We're gonna start with what has gone wrong for them. The Chargers lost All-Pro left tackle Rashawn Slater early in the year, and that left a gaping hole in an already questionable offensive line. Slater isn't coming back, but at least by now, the Bolts are used to his absence and they've been able to adjust their offense accordingly. Keenan Allen has also been out for what seems like an eternity, and Mike Williams followed suit just a few weeks after that. So Herbert really has not had his full complement of weapons all season long. But when he did, he put up his only 3 touchdown passing games, 2 of them in 3 weeks, of the season, and that is a big reason for my optimism. We know that both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams could be back this week, and the good news, and there isn't much, especially if you're an owner, but the good news about the extended absence for Allen is that with them taking it slow and keeping him out some extra time to heal, we can be pretty sure that when he does finally come back, it'll be when he's at 100% or very close to it. Now, the other reason for Herbert's struggles has been an unkind schedule to start the year. Outside of those first 3 weeks, when Herbie was balling out, he had to play Houston, Denver, Seattle, and San Francisco. All are top 10 units against the position, or they were at the time that he played them. Down your top weapons, your stud left tackle, and facing a difficult defense. I mean, what exactly did we expect to happen here? All of this changes though starting this week against the Chiefs, which is why you needed to send an aggressive trade offer to try to get Herbie yesterday. Over the next 5 weeks, Herbie is set up for a historic run if things break right. He has matchups with the Cardinals, Raiders, Dolphins, and Titans after Kansas City. All 5 of those teams give up top 10 numbers to the quarterback position, and 3 of them are bottom 5 in trying to stop passers. This could be the easiest stretch that any quarterback faces all year long, and that is something I want on my team as I push for a playoff spot. As the current quarterback 15, Herbert can most likely be had at a massive discount. I think he has top 5 potential for the rest of the season, and I'd be willing to bet that the most that he's gonna garner in a trade is gonna be a low-end quarterback 1. Some recent performers that I would love to swap for Herbie include Kirk Cousins at QB 12, Aaron Rodgers at QB 13, and Geno Smith, who's all the way up at QB 7. I had him as a sell last week. Go ahead and let the owner think that you are doing them a favor by taking Herbie off of their hands, and then watch the points pile up in an epic late season push. My next buy is T. Higgins. When Jamar Chase went down with that hip injury, I think that Higgins owners, myself included, were salivating at the numbers that would come for their new alpha receiver in a high-powered Cincy offense. Let's just say that has not come to fruition. That is not to say that Higgins has been bad. He's posted 3 straight wide receiver 2 finishes, but he has not exploded as anticipated or hoped, and current owners are certainly not loving it, but as a buyer, you certainly should. It's the only reason that you can get him at a discount right now. With Jamar Chase already halfway through the long side of his projected rehab time, you're still gonna have at least 1 or 2 weeks where you get Higgins as the number 1. But if the comeback does not go as planned, maybe he, God forbid, re-injures it, this is a jackpot buy. Either way, with the lack of big-time production thus far from Higgins, you're going to be able to buy him for cheaper than you should be. And buy him you must. Higgins has a solid target share in a great offense. He's also due for some positive touchdown regression, and most importantly, his schedule down the stretch is begging to be taken advantage of. Of the games that Cincinnati has left to play, only New England is a bottom 12 matchup. Over the next 3 weeks, Higgins gets excellent opportunities against Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Tennessee. All 3 of them give up top 5 points per game to the position. That also means that if you do not buy him now, the window slams shut and he balls out elsewhere. You can leverage Chase's presumed return to get an even better deal on an already depreciated value. As the current wide receiver 22, you could probably get him for someone like Gabe Davis, wide receiver 21, or even Juju Smith-Schuster at wide receiver 24. If you recall, Higgy went absolutely nuclear to end last season, and I think that sort of finish is once again well within his range of outcomes. I believe he's an easy top 15 guy the rest of the way, but you're not going to have to pay anywhere near that price to acquire him. Chris Olave is buy number 3, and he may have started off with a bang, but that has quieted over the last couple of weeks. After a string of 4 consecutive finishes as a top 20 producer, he's failed to get back to those heights in any of the last 3 games, and that can only mean one thing: pounce now while you still can. In his healthy games that Olave has played since week 2, he boasts a 28% target share and, even more importantly, an incredible 44% air yard share. These are elite numbers, and Olave is an elite fantasy receiver. He's also PFF's 11th ranked wideout on the year, so he might be an elite receiver in real life as well. Even better, it seems like the Andy Dalton experiment is finally coming to an end in New Orleans. You can say what you want about Jameis Winston, but over the first 3 weeks when he was the quarterback 1, Olave racked up 17 receptions on 29 targets for 268 yards. The other reason to add Olave is obvious. There are no other receiving threats in this Saints offense. Jarvis Landry's return does not hurt his deep game in the slightest, and if anything, I think it actually will only help by taking a little pressure and some coverage off of him. If I can sell high on someone like Tyler Boyd at wide receiver 20 or Brandon Ayuk way up at wide receiver 16, I am laughing my way into the playoffs with a massive upgrade. Some players that I am still buying from previous videos that you should also check out if you have not already is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Kareem Hunt, Mark Andrews, and Devonta Smith. Before I get into my sells, crush that like button if you are enjoying the content, and now let's hop to it. My first sell is D'Onta Foreman. Since taking over as the lead back in week 7, Foreman is the RB7 in half-point PPR. He's averaging well over 17 points per game. He has a top 5, 10 and 15 finish to his name in the 4 games that he has been the guy. Now, usually these type of performances are ones you hold on to and help carry you to critical victories as the season progresses, but I do not think that is going to be the case for Donta. We're gonna start with the layup here. The Panthers are bad. While they may not be actively tanking, there are not going to be many more games that they win down the stretch. Thus far, I feel like they've been lucky to be in the 3 of the 4 games that Foreman has started, and that will not hold. And when it comes crashing down, so will the opportunities. If you need an example, his stat line against the Cincinnati Bengals will suffice. 7 carries, 23 yards, 2 catches for -2 yards. Yeah, not good. Foreman is not a pass catching back. He's caught just 4 balls all year. He is going to live and die by the game script. And if I am an owner, I am not taking Carolina and banking on a strong finish from them. The Panthers do not have the fortune of playing Atlanta every week, and both of Foreman's best games came against their bottom 10 rush defense. That leads me to my last point, which is his schedule. In week 11, the Panthers face Baltimore. They are top 10 rushing defense. They're heavy underdogs in that game, and it is likely that the Panthers fall behind early. It only gets worse after that with a matchup against the league's #1 rushing defense in the Broncos in week 12. Week 13 happens to be Carolina's bye. So this means you're looking at the possibility of 2 weeks where he falls flat on his face, followed by 1 where you could not even start him if you wanted to. Talk about killing value. As if you needed a final push, allow me to give you one anyways. Donta has tough matchups in week 15 and week 17 as well against Pittsburgh and Tampa. Those are a playoff game and then a championship game for most, and I want nothing to do with Foreman in either of them. There is likely an owner who is going to see the numbers that he's put up so far and would love to add him to their squad. Kindly take them up on it and get out while Foreman's value is at its peak. You sell him on his recent production. Remember, he's been the RB7 over the last 4 weeks, so you should be able to pull at worst a solid running back 2 for him. If you can get a guy like Miles Sanders at RB17, that would be ideal, but I think it's more likely you'll be able to pull someone like Devin Singletary at RB25 or Jeff Wilson at RB21, and I would take either of them in order to offload this declining asset. My next sell is none other than Justin Fields. He has elevated to another level entirely over his last 2 games. He became the first quarterback in NFL history with 140 rushing yards or more in back-to-back performances. Since week 6, he's posted finishes of overall quarterback 8, 5, 5, and he's been the #1 dude in each of the last 2 weeks. With all of those very impressive numbers, you would probably have to be bat crazy to sell him off, right? To steal a line from the late, great, don't know if he's dead, Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. And the reason for that is this. The loss of Khalil Herbert is a much bigger deal than I think most people realize. He may be viewed by most as the RB2 to that team. However, he was the far more efficient and productive back all season long. David Montgomery has struggled with efficiency, so that loss stings big time, especially for a team that wants to and has relied heavily on the rushing game all year. We also know that the pass catchers in Chicago are not exactly a unit that is brimming with talent. Sure, the addition of Chase Claypool is nice, Darnell Mooney is a solid young player, and Cole Kmet finally found out that he can actually get in the end zone. But none of these guys are true difference makers or movers of the proverbial needle. As a rushing quarterback, we also have to consider the fact there is always the opportunity to get injured. And Chicago's offensive line certainly does not make us feel any better about that proposition. Fields has been able to avoid it thus far in 2022, but he was not that lucky last season. Look, I am not saying that this is an easy decision to make. It will take guts, but you do not win championships without making big moves and taking risks. And I would even argue that there is far more risk in holding on to Fields while his value is sky high than bringing in a haul while selling him off before what comes next. Because what comes next happens to be possibly the toughest stretch any quarterback is going to face for the rest of the season. During his current streak, Fields has benefited from some cakewalk matchups. Washington, Miami, Detroit, 3 out of the 5 opponents in his historic stretch were all bottom 12 units against quarterbacks. Now, this is not to take anything away from what he has done. I'm just simply stating facts. The road changes after week 11. Following this week's great matchup with Atlanta, Fields will have to go up against the Jets, Pack, Eagles, and the Bills from weeks 12 to 16. All 4 allow bottom 12 numbers to the position, and 3 of those teams have top 5 defenses against quarterbacks. While I do love what I have seen from Fields as of late, there is no way that I am trusting him to navigate that brutal stretch with my fantasy season on the line. And as the current quarterback 4, with an incredible 5-game sample to sell on, you could probably land anyone not named Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, or Jackson. It is likely that you can get something added to a player like Joe Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa, and I would love to make that sort of move. In a 2-quarterback league, especially if an owner is hurting at the position, you should be able to make out like a bandit. I was able to swindle an owner out of Justin Jefferson, basically straight up for him. But depending on what you need, a high-end running back one could also be in the cards. Do not sit on the value that Fields has built for you and watch it crumble into obscurity when you need it the most. Make a move now and reap the rewards. Christian Kirk is my next sell. He started off hot before going into a deep lull during weeks 4 to 8. But over the last 2 weeks, he has stormed back, posting his best 2 finishes of the year, both of them as a top 5 producer. Which we know that means there is no better time to sell than right now. Now, first and foremost, if you're gonna offload a dude, you might as well do it during his bye where he can't help you anyways. That is just good business. Next, the volatility that he has shown is far from ideal for a guy who is a mid-tier wide receiver 1 in fantasy land right now. And Kirk being planted firmly in that position is exactly why I'm suggesting selling him off. The biggest things going against him are his surroundings in general and the Jaguars' schedule to finish the season. Jacksonville has played solid in short spurts, but they have also crumbled plenty. And you can say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. Being tied to a young quarterback with a massive variance is always better to avoid when at all possible. There is also the fact that Travis Etienne has blossomed into one of the best young running backs in the league. He is going to be heavily utilized not only in the running game, but in the passing game as well, and I expect Jacksonville to lean on him as much as possible. Now, I know that these are not big dings on Kirk, but they are also not insignificant. As far as the schedule goes, all you need to know is this. Kirk gets the Jets and Houston in weeks 16 and 17, which are arguably the 2 most important games for owners. Both of these defenses have allowed bottom 7 numbers to wideouts. So if I can move off of that, I would be stupid not to, and at the very least, you need to try. The last bit I have is not quantifiable, but I also do not think that it is irrelevant. And that is, I just do not trust the Jags. They've been bad for forever and could easily tank over the second half of the season, pulling Christian down with them. It's not even that I think that Kirk is going to be bad down the stretch as a whole. It's just that at his current value, there are other guys that you could acquire who remove that risk that we just talked about and provide more upside. I think rest of season, Christian Kirk is probably a top 20 wideout, but he's the wide receiver 7 right now. So why not trade him for another top 10 option? I would add a little bit on top if I could upgrade to a guy like Jalen Waddle, who's wide receiver 6, or AJ Brown, who's wide receiver 8. If that is not possible, I would love to do a 1-for-1 swap for my buy from a couple weeks ago in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Some players that I am still selling from previous videos include Brandon Ayuk, Geno Smith, Curtis Samuel, and Raheem Mostert. As I alluded to in the beginning of the video, I thought I would give you guys one more for the road to show my gratitude for all of the support that I have received up to this point. I'm gonna start by thanking my wife because she always has my back, and my son for always making me smile. I'm truly blessed to be able to bring you guys content almost every day, and I am excited to see the growth that we can achieve together over this next year. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the feedback, constructive or otherwise, that has allowed me to learn, grow, and improve. Now let's get to it. My bonus buy is Cortland Sutton, and it is safe to say that things went sideways for Sutton quickly, and they have yet to truly recover. The days of him being a shoo-in for a top 20 play are long gone. Cortland has not cracked the top 30 since week number 4. He's recorded 23 yards or less in 3 out of his last 4 games, and he's gone 5 weeks without the almighty touchdown. Denver's offense is a train wreck. Russell Wilson is playing the worst football of his career. The list of negatives is long and damning. So what the heck is he doing on this list? It's actually quite simple. When a player's value has plummeted this low, the risk of acquiring him goes down with it. Sutton is the wide receiver 35 on the season right now. His owner is likely sick and tired of rostering him. They probably even contemplated dropping him during his 3-game stretch where he went as a wide receiver 70, 69, and 75, and I do not blame them if I'm being completely honest. But if we look ahead, there is a silver lining for savvy owners that they can leverage to get a leg up for a final playoff push. So, meandering slowly to the meat of my final buy in week 11, here are the reasons I am willing to take the plunge into this situation. Number 1, things cannot possibly get any worse than they have been. There is nowhere to go but up for both Sutton and Wilson, and we have seen solid, fairly recent production from both. So unless you are a believer that they are done and washed, far beyond saving, there is hope here, and I for one do not think they are toast just yet. Number 2, Jerry Jeudy's injury changes things. Jeudy has had plenty of injury issues during his career, and it looks like at best he is going to miss this week in a smash matchup with Vegas. With KJ Hamler also out, Sutton is set up for a monster comeback game. And if Jeudy were to miss extended time, this buy becomes all the more valuable. Number 3, opportunity. Sutton has a 24.4% target share and a nearly 29% air yard share this season. The looks have been there and they will continue to come his way. We know that volume is king in fantasy and Sutton has it in spades. Now the last point I will make is this. You guessed it, his schedule. His bye is already out of the way and the rest of season matchups he has are as follows. I'm gonna call out the numbers that the teams he is facing have allowed to the position thus far. First week, week 11, right now, Vegas, 13th most points allowed to wide receivers. Carolina, 10th most. Baltimore, 6th. Kansas City, 5th. Arizona, 20th, not the greatest. Rams, 11th, and then he gets KC in week 17 to finish it off. Once again, they are a top 5 matchup for him. So this means that he gets 4 matchups against teams that give up top 12 numbers and 6 that allow top 5 numbers to the position. A big old gooser for teams that you have to actively avoid. For a player that most thought was set up for success and was pretty talented to start the year at least, you have to believe, even with all that has gone wrong, that production can still come from what's in front of him. If nothing else, he is worth the small investment that it will take to find out. If I can sell Devin Duvernay at wide receiver 36, Adam Thielen at wide receiver 34, or Jacoby Myers at wide receiver 32 for him, those are easy wins. I would even go as far as to giving up DJ Moore, who I liked as a buy a couple weeks ago. He's wide receiver 27, or even Allen Lazard at wide receiver 25 for him. If you're not feeling Michael Pittman at wide receiver 23, that is a move that I would make as well. Don't let what has happened so far keep you from a low risk, high reward situation. Sutton can have a big impact on the rest of your season, so do not wait and make the move. And that is all I got for you guys for week 11's buy sell. I hope that this information was valuable to you and gave you the ammunition you needed to make a move and change your season. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed the content. Relentless Press has content Monday to Saturday. I'm doing basically at least a video or two every single day and over 10 every week. If you do not subscribe to the channel, you just might miss something, and oh, what a shame that would be. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.